Hey everybody, it's Sean here bringing you another how-to video. Today we are going to be changing the engine oil on a 2005 Honda CRF50F, and this should apply to any of the Honda CRF50F motorcycles. I believe they're the same from 04 to 15 and might even be the same beyond that. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is take a look at what we need. Of course, you need a catch pan, a Tupperware, a half of a milk gallon jug, something like that to catch our oil. And you want it to be pretty low because there's not a lot of ground clearance on these small bikes. Next, we're gonna have a ratchet. I've got a 17 millimeter socket on that ratchet. And I also have a 3/8 torque wrench here. That drain bolt is gonna be at 18 foot-pounds. Then we're gonna go to our oil. I'm gonna use Honda GN4 oil, and then of course it's always nice to have some shop towels. So let's go ahead and get started. I just rode this bike a little bit just to get it warmed up and get that oil nice and warm so that it comes out freely. Next thing we're going to do is come to the other side, and it's right over here. I'm going to open that fill cap, and the reason I do that is just to allow us an opportunity to drain that oil a little easier. Now we're gonna go down underneath the bike, and there's our oil drain bolt right in the center of my screen, right there. That's the 17 millimeter oil drain bolt. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my 3/8 ratchet, and we're gonna loosen that guy up and start draining the oil that's in the bike. Alrighty, we've got that oil draining. See, it's pretty dark, so it definitely needed to be done. Nothing too bad, but again, dark enough that we knew it needed to be done here. You can see I got my crush washer in there. I'm gonna pull that out, and I'm gonna go ahead and take some time and take my time cleaning up this oil drain bolt, cleaning that crush washer, double checking that I still can use it. Looks like this one's still in pretty good shape. Not too crumpled or anything. You can see it still has a nice form to it. So we're gonna go ahead and reuse that one. If you do notice that it's getting pretty pinched or smushed, then it's not a bad idea to swap these out. You can find a crush washer at just about any local hardware store. So we're about wrapped up with the drain process here. I might move the bike back and forth a little bit just to make sure I get all that old oil out. And if you wanted, you can even by hand crank that kick pedal. Again, just do it very slowly to get some oil out of the bike if you wanted to. Don't need to, but it's another way to get some of that additional old oil out. So after I let this drip for a little bit, I'm gonna get everything cleaned up. I'm also gonna clean up the bottom of the bike, bottom of the oil pan there, where the bolt and washer screw in, and make sure we just don't have any dirt or a little bit of sand in the way of our clean surfaces. Alrighty, after you have drained all the oil, which by the way, rocking it side to side and cranking it by hand just very slowly once or twice did remove quite a bit of excess oil, so I would recommend doing that. There was still some dirty oil in the bike. So after I let it all drain out, then I did go ahead and screw in that drain bolt with the crush washer, and we're gonna tighten that down to 18 foot-pounds, which is not a lot of torque. Even if you don't have a torque wrench, make sure that you're not cranking on that thing. We just want it snug enough to stay tight, okay? Last thing you want to do is strip out the threads in the bottom of your motor. You're going to have a lot bigger issues. So again, 18 foot-pounds, not a lot of torque. Once you get that bolt tightened, come up here and you can see there's always some residue, dirt, little bits of sand that gets trapped behind that drain plug, or excuse me, behind the fill plug. And so I always like to take a rag and try to clean that out very carefully to make sure that I'm not getting any of that in the bike when we go ahead and fill it. So I'm gonna clean that up here, and then we will start putting in some oil. Alrighty, so now it looks much better. Next thing we're gonna do is take a funnel, which I apologize, I don't think I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, but it is nice to have a funnel. If you don't have a funnel, I've literally used things such as a magazine before and just fold it up into a shape of a funnel. You can get away with a lot of things, but if you don't have a funnel, probably not a bad idea to pick one of those up. Again, next we're gonna take our oil. In this case, I'm gonna use Honda's recommended GN4. And I've seen kind of mixed amounts out there. 600 milliliters is what it does say in the manual to use. Now, sometimes that can be 600 anywhere to 800 milliliters. Really, at the end of the day, the important piece here is that we're filling the bike up so that it shows full on the dipstick. If that takes 600, great. Maybe you didn't get all the oil out of the bottom of the motor, and that's okay. If it takes 7 or maybe even more than 700 milliliters, that's okay as well. Again, the goal here is to fill the motor up so that it's full of oil, and don't get too caught up on the exact number going into the oil change. So let's go ahead and put some oil in. I'll start at about 600, we'll check it, and we'll see how much we need to end up putting in. Alrighty, so I put in right about 600 milliliters and didn't need much more than that. So in my case, 600 milliliters did the trick. And you can see the dipstick. Now, something to keep in mind when you're checking the level, you want to pull it off the center stand and have the bike sitting straight up and down as possible. And then when you're checking that dipstick, you're going to just basically put the dipstick all the way flat, but not screw it in, okay? So all the way flat, and then pull it out, and then you'll put it down on your rag and see where your level is at. Now you can see it looks a little short on mine just because I have it on the kickstand currently, but I assure you that when I stood this bike straight up and down, it was all the way to the top of this dipstick without being overly filled. So that's what we want to see. Anywhere really from that bottom line to the top is okay, but with a fresh oil change, never hurts to just get her nice and close to the top. And once you're done with that, clean up your dipstick, put it back in the bike, and you are good to go. Go rip it and have some fun. If you learned anything or were able to use this video to change your own oil, please like and subscribe, and I will keep these how-to dirt bike videos coming. Thanks everybody, appreciate your time.